What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Scratch Agency podcast, hosted by Scratch Agents for Scratch Agents. My name's Stephen Turnbull, founder of T5 Insurance Services in Clinton, New York. I'm joined by my co-host today, the one and only, you already know, hold your applause, Mr. Sean Fitzgerald, founder of Sound Harbor Insurance in Long Island, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is brought to you by HawkSoft, your family-owned and operated agency management system serving independent agencies with teams from 1 to 300 plus employees. Sean, listen to this. James says that an agent who is an agency owner in Idaho, from the sales team to the service team at HawkSoft, we were treated differently than any other AMS system we talked to. As a HawkSoft user, I'll tell you, their service is exceptional. Mr. Fitzgerald, how are we doing today, sir?
Hey, I wish I could say the same thing about my AMS. Anyway, I'm doing I'm doing good, man. We're rocking and rolling over here.
We are
Ready to
rocking and
start
rolling.
it
I
up.
think it'd be good
Yeah.
to share with the audience that we've been having a little brotherly love today. I'm just saying. Poor Tam had to sit here while we were waiting recording, just listening to us argue. But that happens with brothers sometimes. So
Hey, it can't be all sunshine and roses, you know.
yeah, everyone thinks we're just great friends. We actually hate each other. No, just kidding. Listen, we're jumping right into it. All right, listen, we got this next guest on, second time guest on the Scratch Agency podcast. My man Tam, it was 2 years ago, episode 33. So we talked about the story of the one and only Tamron Manning back in episode 33, which Sean, just for note purposes, that was about 110 episodes ago, which is pretty wild. 113 episodes ago.
Nice.
So that's pretty crazy.
That is.
But here's the deal. Here's what we want to do. Real value inside of real agencies, Scratch Agency specifically. Our man Tam has a new team member that's a producer. And we wanted to talk about, hey, Tam, what's the expectation versus the reality of having that producer? What are some things that you didn't expect? What are some things you planned for that didn't happen? All of that stuff. First off, Tam, Integrity Insurance out of Kentucky. Thank you for being here, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me. Nice to be a part of your guys' therapy session there at the beginning. But
well, thank you for the help. We appreciate it.
I'll send my bill later.
Yeah. What's going on in Kentucky today?
Man, not much. This is a great topic, though. I think a lot of people, especially scratch agents, they get to this point where it's like, okay, I think I want to hire a producer. And I'm in the midst of like just really in the trenches of having this producer. She's brand new to my agency, 2 months, almost 3 months in. So I think it's going to be a good topic for people to hear.
Nice.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just gonna say, let's just kick it off. Like, how did you recruit her? Were you recruiting? Were you doing ads to find her? Was it from networking? Like, I think that'd be a good place to start. Is just how you even came across her.
Yeah, 100%. So what I did is I met her through networking. So we met each other, and then we went to grab coffee at a place, and then we were just chatting about the business. So she was telling me about her agency where she worked, and I was telling her about Integrity Insurance Group, and just we were just doing our complaints about insurance and doing all that stuff. So we were just literally chatting. I just like to always meet people in the industry, especially people who are thriving and kind of doing the same things that I'm doing as far as how we get business. She was meeting with a lot of lenders, and a lot of people were just mentioning her name to me. So I just wanted to meet her and get in front of her. And that relationship kind of just grew, and we just kind of kept talking, kept checking in on each other. And then I had an opening, and I kind of went after her a little bit and recruited her. And that's kind of how we got started.
That's awesome, dude. The stars aligned on that one. Like, I feel like that's awesome that you could find, because both people that I've brought on had no prior experience, But like, I'm just thinking now, imagine I found somebody who was working Google and Meta ad leads, like, you know what I mean? That'd be like, oh my God, what a perfect fit. So that's awesome.
Yeah, like you said, the stars align perfectly because she does exactly what we do to get business. So she probably meets more lenders and does more meetings than I was even doing. So she even made me kind of raise my level up a lot, actually. So yeah, it was huge in that aspect.
That's awesome.
So talk to us about the planning phase for like a producer, because we've had, but I don't want to really have that conversation. More of the conversation of looking back now with 2 months in. My
Mhm.
first question to you is: do you think you overthought it? That's number one. And number two, what were some of those expectations versus realities of now having the producer in 2 months in where she's working? And then I think removed from that, I think it'd be interesting for you and Sean to share your experience on with and without experience, because I think that would be a cool dialogue to talk to as well. But Tam, talk to us just primarily like, do you think you overthought it? Did you want to do it sooner? Now looking back, what has changed from before you hired her?
Okay. So let's put a little context behind it. So I would say
Please.
no, I didn't overthink it. Um, Yeah, I don't think I overthought it at all, but the context behind it was like Sean was talking about earlier, the stars kind of just aligned. So I didn't really have time to overthink it. So it was one of those things. I wasn't even looking to hire a producer when I met with her the first time. It was just one of those things where it's like, man, this person is really sharp. She's really good at what she does. She cares about what she does, and you just don't find that often. So if you're just like looking for somebody to hire, you're not going to find that. So she was almost, I would put her in kind of the unicorn category. So I would say I didn't overthink it. I think I just went after it quicker because I knew like I'm not going to find this person on Indeed, most
Yeah.
likely. So if I have the opportunity to bring her into my agency and grow together, I just got to do whatever it takes to make that happen. So that's how I was looking at it from my perspective. So it wasn't one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, how do I pay her? And then what do I do there? How do I do this? I didn't even know. I was talking to Sean about this just offline one day. I didn't even know how to reconcile the commission statement because it was just me. So I didn't get. I knew
Yeah.
I would look through it, make sure the numbers were right, but I didn't know how to make sure. So this is her first payroll that we had to give her commission on. I was stressing about it, but that's beside the point. But so I didn't overthink it at all. I went after it pretty hard just because I knew this was just the perfect storm.
Yeah.
And I thought I would have regretted not even mentioning it to her, that I was interested in bringing her onto the team. So that was my context behind it. So to answer your first question, no, no overthinking. Second question, um, I would say what I thought going into hiring a producer and what's different now that I actually have one. The main thing is just I didn't realize how much I missed the I don't want to call it competitive nature, but just the fun of just seeing like, okay, I sold something and now oh she sold
Yeah.
something and now agency
Agency
Zoom
Zoom.
the
Yep.
lines are starting to yeah the lines are starting to trickle up. So it's just, I missed that aspect because it was just me selling and then I had a account manager which she wasn't selling much anyway. So I missed that aspect and I didn't really realize that. So that's probably
Yeah.
the one thing that I didn't account for. Just, my competitive nature wanting to be like, oh, this is cool,
Yeah. I got
and
to make
just
that
striving to
second
be better.
half Tom Brady comeback. Ryan's got me thinking
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, dude, no, it definitely
Just
pushes you further. That's a great point.
yeah, just striving to be better. And
Yeah.
it's all great. So that's probably the biggest thing that I didn't account for going into it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dude, I mean, you nailed it. I think what you did that's so right that I think some people make the mistake on is like you just took the opportunity. Like you got listen, let's be real, like you wouldn't have gotten the opportunity if you weren't out networking. So you did
Oh no. No.
your activity paid dividends that you didn't see right away, but at the end of the day, like she fit like perfect into your setup. So instead of overthinking it, you just took the opportunity, which is awesome. And I feel like when I think of my situation for both of them, I wasn't like actively looking, like the first one, it came via networking. So kind of like a similar situation, except he had no prior and I brought him on. And then the same thing with the second one. I wasn't actively looking, but we reconnected. We were friends in the past. And, it was kind of just like, I feel like I'm more of I don't really care as much about like resume or, what you've done, but if it's like the right person, we've all heard this before, right? Like hire for the right people, not the quote unquote college degree or what their resume says. So I just got a good feeling for both of them. You know what I mean? Like, and when I say that, I mean like our values were very, very similar. Hardworking, wanted to achieve big things, want to help people and do the right thing. Like, there's just certain things. Have a good personality and can talk to people openly. Not afraid to pick up the phone. You know, just like little things that would set them up for success. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think 100%. And for me, how the lady I hired is, I could see in her when we first met that she had, and I think for that sales role, for anybody who's like looking for salespeople, they got to have a little entrepreneurial spirit
Yeah.
about them. They
Oh
don't
yeah.
have to be, they don't have to be Elon Musk, but they have to have some type of like, I know what I got to do. You don't have to
Yes.
sit on my shoulder and like micromanage me. And she had that. She just obviously didn't want to own a business, but she had that drive. She had the commitment, ambition. She wanted to be better, and she wanted better opportunities for herself. So that piece to me is almost something that if you can find that in somebody, you can't really train that. Is what I'm trying to say. So if you can
No.
find that in somebody, that's a number one key indicator that they would be pretty successful in this role.
Okay. So I want you both to respond to this, but let's talk about the differences that you guys have experienced in onboarding with experience and non-experience, because that's obviously a huge difference. And I think there's pros and cons that we've talked about plenty of times on this show, Sean, of, bad tricks that you might bring from the old shop, or we used to do it this way versus I have no idea what I'm doing, versus I have an idea what I'm doing, but plugging in. Tam, you first. What's the experience been like with that? Because that's obviously faster than Sean's experiences
Yeah.
up to this point of hiring.
Dude, I am super grateful for her because she did have the background and she didn't come from a captive. So let's put that into context too. She came from an independent
Amazing.
agency. So she almost, we had to teach her like maybe one carrier that they didn't have at her prior agency, but we added a couple carriers. So we've kind of grown minus just adding a producer. So we've added a couple carriers, and some of the carriers we've added she had. So she trained us on some of the stuff. So that has been huge. So I would say for us, the onboarding was more so just getting her used to how I wanted integrity to work, and just our values and how we do things. But other than that, we just literally trained on one carrier, made sure she was up and running on that one, and everything else, it was seamless. But I do also want to say that won't be the case if you don't find that person who has that drive and dedication, because she was probably doing great things at her prior agency. So if you find somebody who was like struggling at their prior agency,
Right.
that agent was ready to get rid of them in the first place, then it could be a different experience. But she was just such a leader where she was. She was just solid to bring in that aspect. So onboarding was smooth for us.
Yeah, I would add, I guess I guess that's an amazing benefit that you had, that it seems like it just fit in there perfect. Like, whereas if somebody from a captive, like you said, T would probably just,
Yeah,
they
it'd be
probably
long.
just, they might have bad habits, or they might just not understand. You might as well not have any prior at that
Yeah,
point.
it's almost there's
You know
no
what I mean?
interest, yeah, at that point.
Yeah, I would say with Ryan, like the biggest thing I learned is that like just in person is just invaluable. Like for someone who doesn't have prior, you know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
them being able to hear you on the phone, and then you being able to, in the moment, explain to them like what just happened, I think that is just the best way to learn. And I think that's the invaluable information that you could pass on to them. You know what I mean? So for me, that
100%.
that in person piece is probably the biggest. But then like I feel like they just need to understand the industry. Explain why we have to write quality risks, how that impacts our relationships with the carriers, how that impacts profit sharing, how that can impact the way the underwriters have a relationship with us.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff is super important. Um, and then I think what I had to do just a little different, T, which I'm not sure if you had to do it or not. Probably not, since you had insurance experience in the past. But like a lot of sales scripts. So like, but tied to your process specifically. So one of the things I remember I did with Ryan is like before he came on, I had a sales script based off of me calling somebody who filled out a form online to shop for insurance. So it was
Wow.
like it was very
Yeah.
specific, you know. But think about it, that script versus a script,
Referral.
you know, a referral, yeah, from a referral partner is like completely different. You know, the middle might be the same, but the beginning is totally different.
You got to open
So
differently.
yeah, I remember I did with Ring Central, recorded the call, let him listen to the call, you know, and then he just heard me on a bunch of calls. We did a couple of calls together. You know, I actually didn't do too much role playing. I probably should have done that more, but I think just them hearing you and being super close to you is what's key.
Yeah, we don't do much role playing either, but like you said, the difference um, is just the volume that she sold prior was
Yeah.
pretty high. Um, and the other thing that I wanted to touch on is just the phone skills. So the phone skills are something, just all soft skills really, but phone skills being one of them. Um, how you just interact with people and how you can kind of like open them up a little bit.
Yeah.
That part is another one of those things you just can't really. I don't know if you can really teach that. Just that bubbly on the phone from the other side, you can hear like, oh, this person's pretty, pleasant to talk to or whatever. So that's another key thing that it's hard to train, but if you can find that, I think the moral of the podcast and what I want to just bring to the all the listeners is don't hesitate on people that you have good feelings about if they check certain boxes. Even if like, okay, maybe not to get too deep in the weeds, but maybe like, oh, we don't have a SOP for how to sell yet. You don't want to like get into thinking about all that, or you'll miss that person will pass you by.
Yeah.
Get them in, work together. Work a little later at night or earlier in the morning and get that stuff set up. But don't go too slow with moving through these things because you'll lose that person and then you'll regret it. You'll make the wrong hire
That's
and you'll have to start over again. So
dude, that's one of the
speed.
hardest. Yeah, dude, that's one of the hardest things. Like we were just Brandon and I in my office were just talking about that yesterday. It's like, dude, there's so many different avenues to take within this industry. It gets
Yeah, 100%.
overwhelming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, should I cold call? Should I build referral partners?
Just do something.
Should I do school relationship? I mean, dude, there's like a 10 million different things to do. But like to your point, it's like, dude, just triple down on build your scripts and SOPs based off of what you're the best
Yeah.
at. You know?
Exactly, exactly, and that's helped us grow, and she's helped refine some of the stuff that I built myself. Because really, Sean, and you probably can speak to this. You don't know, it works for you, but you don't know if it's scalable until somebody else is doing it. So
Tam,
she came in and was like, well. Some of our automation that we send out in agency Zoom, she was like, I probably wouldn't say it that way because we're not getting great response from it this way. So I went in and I like tweaked some things, but you just get a second pair of eyes on it. For when it's just you selling, you're like, oh, I would say this. This sounds good, and you're just like slapping things together. But when you bring that
that's
person
such
in,
a
it really
good
gets you
point.
up.
Yeah.
Tam, nobody really talks about that enough, about finding people with experience and obviously making sure they're the right fit and all that. But whenever anybody has that conversation, and I've been guilty of this just as much as anybody else, it's immediately like, well, you don't want to bring in old habits, or they may think that they were at their old agency when this and that always did. No one ever talks about like what could they bring. And I mean, what, like in your situation too, like what could they bring to the table in your agency? In your situation too, it's like they were unhappy where they were. They were a
Mhm.
rock star person, and you were able to give them a different environment. That's what it came down to.
Yeah,
You're
that's
able to
it.
give them a better environment
Yeah,
to succeed. That's
that's
it.
So
That's it.
that's
I'll
it.
Simple.
never forget we brought in our licensed personal lines person a little over a year ago, and she came from a really large agency, and they had AMS 360, the same management system I have. Sorry, AMS, about the comments earlier. And and they basically said like, hey, like, why aren't you guys sending auto ID cards from the management system? Why? And she like just there was like, oh, why aren't you logging claims in this way through AMS? And I'm like, I didn't even like. She taught us so much. So I think it's, dude, at the end of the day, this is all mindset stuff. You can sit here and complain and say whatever about somebody having past experience, that's going to rub you the wrong way and at the new agency. But I think
don't get that
I
though.
think
I
there's a
feel like
lot more benefit.
insurance is probably the only industry where I would say the high sentiment of people would say, "Oh, we want people fresh." But like, if you go like, you can't just be fresh and work at Goldman Sachs. Like, they're not gonna be like, "Oh, we want the freshest." Like, no, we want people.
But the thing
We
is
want to
that
still be like,
it's
weird.
exactly what we're talking about, though. Those people are just focusing on the negative ones and the negative situations of somebody that comes to you, Tam, and says, well, I'm leaving because my guy doesn't pay me enough. And you find out they make a great split, and you find out it's not a pay problem, it's a person problem, right? That it's not someone you're going to hire, versus your situation. There was a bad environment. That's it. Like,
just use your better
listen up here. I got a message to, I think we got about 100,000 followers or something in Kentucky, in the state alone. All you agency owners better watch out, because my man Tam is coming for all your producers. You don't treat them right, he's coming. And you heard her here first on the Scratch Agency podcast. I'll tell you that right now.
It's a good way to build a strong team. Is you get experience, everybody together, and we're all just learning from each other at that point. Instead of trying to like super train somebody brand new, which there's nothing wrong with somebody being brand new. I mean, I was brand new at one point, and I ended up figuring it out. But I do want to just highlight, you can get people who have experience and have success with them. Just as much as somebody brand new and have a success. And you don't have to do the licensing piece. And
I think it's very situational. It's very situational.
Use your better judgment.
Use your judgment. And create the environment where it's going to make sense for that person. Tam, one last question.
Real quick. I do want to say, and if it's your state, I think the key, you want to be a good networker, because if it's your state, you're going to know the A players in your state, whether they're producers or agency owners. You're going to know, like, oh, this person is only leaving because XYZ. Like, you're going to know if somebody's a really good person, really good at their job, and just need that better environment. So just wanted to say that piece.
That's a great point. Tam, I know it's only been 2 months, but looking back at this, is there anything that you would do differently if you did it over again?
Anything I would do differently? I would probably, if I could do it over again, I would have prepared myself sooner. So a little bit before I was ready. So I kind of did it and I worked backwards. I would have probably already had it just ready and just like, okay, when I find that person, we're jumping on it.
So stop for a second. What's it? I would have already had it ready. What's it?
I would have had the structure of what I wanted the producer to be like ready. So as far as just
the roadmap,
what they need to do daily, scripts like Sean talked about, I would make sure we had the pay structure that I wanted to do, all that stuff just ready, instead of like, I found the person and it's like, oh, I need to do XYZ, instead of I needed to just have XYZ ready. And then where's that person? Now I'm looking and I can be a little more sharp. But that's probably the
makes you more prepared for the conversation too.
100%. Yeah, I was like, oh, wait, you want to do what? It was a whole lot of back and forth.
I thought that was good, Tam. Appreciate you sharing and being open and honest, because I think that's good to, like, that's real situational stuff. And it's a lot of what we're talking about of getting that producer when to know. Listen, I'm going to repeat myself again. All you Kentucky agency owners, you've been warned. My man Tam's coming out for you. You have been warned. Watch your producers. Tam, appreciate you. Where can people follow your journey or just get in touch with you if you want to pick your brain more?
They can follow me on Facebook. We post a lot there, just under our agency name, Integrity Insurance Group, and Instagram, KY Integrity Insurance Group.
Just a reminder, episode 33, 2 years ago, episode 33. Go back and we talked more about Tam's journey. Everybody, that's another episode of the Scratch Agency podcast. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, like the show, share the show, and subscribe. But most importantly, remember to dig down deep, believe in yourself, and in your own future. We'll see you next week. Take care.